Yes, here we go. P.M.P. a wee bit later than normal, but do you know what? There are no rules. We go whatever time we want, and today was probably the most run-of-the-mill Celtic Rangers P.M.P. we will ever do. But we've got a star-studded lineup. There's another three people here to back up the 3 goals we scored today. Phil McGinley, Pam, and Terry. Good to see you, mate. How are we all?
All good.
Brilliant. Top of the league, top of the table, looking down the Rangers, mate.
Yep.
Aye. It was all that good stuff. Give us a like, give us a share, buy some hair, all that stuff. Buy some followers, subscribers, whatever you fancy. If you want to, though, become a Bhoycie Bus member, like loads you have. It's $1.99 a month, but our content remains free. That's the most important thing. Right, Terry, you are the man of the P.M.P. Do you share the same thought as me? Today was a run-of-the-mill 3-0 derby game. Lenny inverted commas, derby.
Yeah. I'd said last week, Bhoycie, that we hadn't experienced any stress yet this season, and that's still the case. There was no stress at any point today. I think what I kind of expected was us to take stranglehold straight from the off. That didn't happen, but I mean, I heard Philip Clement claiming the 10-minute cup after the game there, where he talked about his sides being the better team in the first 10 minutes. And do you know what? I'll even allow him to make an argument for that. But straight from the off, Rangers set their stall out. They just knocked the ball as hard as they could up the pitch and towards the Celtic box and hoped that something would happen. They had an opportunity through Dessers, which I think probably would have been offside because it was given offside. It was type 1. Then I think they had a real guilt-edged chance. It was Matondo, where he's obviously closed his eyes and he's headed the ball and he's hit the corner flag.
That's
and
right,
it shoulda, woulda, coulda. And Rangers had chances to get the advantage. They didn't take them. And football's all about scoring goals. And see after that 10-minute spell, once Celtic got the goal that wasn't given, from that period on, it was, in Chris Boyd's own words, it was men against boys. And Boydie's waving the white flag after 4 weeks. He's broken. He's completely broken. He's the staunchest of staunch, and he's a broken man. He's thrown in the towel. He really has. And I think that the towel would have been thrown in at half-time if it had been a boxing match, and the second half just played out. And yeah, Rangers got an odd chance here and there. Do you know what? I don't even think that was our best performance of the 5 games that we've now played. But it just felt, as you say, so run-of-the-mill and routine. And it didn't even feel like I talked about yesterday when I was on with Conor and things like that around what you expect from a game that had intensity and that helter-skelter environment. And it wasn't like that. It was just like a normal SPL.
Lunch on in the second half, did he?
Normal SPL game.
My lunch on, and I'm like, I was distracted. I'm a bit peckish. I'm just going to stick my lunch on it. I'm in the kitchen, mate, in the second half. Like, the games, it's so run of the mill.
And you seen, I actually sent you a couple of messages, and I never messaged during the games because I'm laser focused. But it was so routine. I found myself lifting my phone and stuff and checking games and things. Do you know what I mean?
It's unusual that. I know you're right. You're so right, by the way, to even highlight that, because I think today was the first time. I've not been a smart ass after the event, but I've got to be group chats for Rangers supporters, right? Which is great right now. Thank God group chats didn't exist in the 90s. But I was like, I feel disgustingly confident today. I hope it doesn't come back and bite me. But it was right. Like, and I know that sounds like being a smart, but I was confident today. But I think that confidence then, as you rightfully say, becomes almost midway through the game. Meh. We're not complaining, by the way. More of the same, of course. But I think Rodgers is one of those guys as well. Once he gets there's the points target that we're after. 3 points in the bag. Happy with that tally. Let's maintain it. Let's keep it. Let's not just keep going for the sake of it. Do you know what I mean? He's all about control. Pam, it was great fun today in the sense of you go into a game that confident, how often it feels at times when you've got high expectations and you come away feeling a wee bit silly. There was nothing like that today. It was complete run-of-the-mill stuff, and there's a gulf. There's a big gulf between the two teams, in my opinion.
No, I agree with you. Generally, I'm nervous as fuck going into these games, but even waking up this morning, I actually felt calm. And I'm a pretty panicky person in nature, like panicky Pam, you know. I just felt like we were just going to do it. You know, I think it was going to be a complete scalping? No, but I thought, you know what? Look at the teams on paper, just how you feel in your gut. I just knew we were going to do it. It took me a little while to settle in. I think once we hit the 15-minute mark, then I was like, right, Pam, we're getting up here. We're going to be fine. And I was just chilling. I was having a cup of tea in the pub. I was just chatting to people. And, you know, it was not.
Where did you watch it, Pam?
I watched it from the forecourt in Arlington, Virginia. Great pub, great people. Shout out to the people I was sitting with. George, Adam, and Alexandra. Great crack. All in all, loved it. And you know, it was a nice game to watch. It was worth getting up at 10 to 6 this morning to watch
So
it.
just on that, Pam, then, would the pub normally have been open at that time, or was it open just for the game?
It generally, so some mornings during the season it does open just for Celtic, but today it was Celtic. There was a Chelsea game, there's a Tottenham game on as well, but we were the first to kick off, so it was really just us until I think 8:15.
And would they be serving alcohol at 6 a.m? Not bad.
I never did that.
Great crack all in all today.
Phil, are we entering an era though again where it gets reflected on as, well, Rodgers up against shite? Or is it Rodgers? Are we going to start accepting Rodgers will make you look shite? He gets good Celtic teams playing very well, and he makes average Rangers players look substandard. Or are we going to have the same again in 5 years' time when we look back, go, Brendan didn't lose a derby again his second spell because how bad Rangers were? Are we going to go down that road again? Is that what we're becoming? Because again, this man, look at his record since he's even came back. It is phenomenal. And it annoys me that you should always get the credit because you can only beat what's in front of you. Mm-hmm. But you look at when Spurs got drawn with Rangers through the week, they actually on TNT Sports posted Postecoglou's record against Rangers, went, they'll be fearing him. And I think it was 6 wins, 3 draws, 3 defeats.
Yeah.
Nothing like Rodgers' record, right? Mm-hmm. And I go, if that gets that sort of kudos, please don't tell me again in 3-4 years we're going to be going back to, well, you know, who was Rodgers against? You know, they were shite. It was, Rangers were shite. The guy deserves credit. He has this fixture sussed. Doesn't matter what approach Rangers take. Today, they gave me the fear a wee bit with the press high. Mm-hmm. Then even Schmeichel gives that reassurance because he's so comfortable on the ball. Yeah. Those jitters are now removed. Whatever it is they throw at us, he's got an answer for it, and he susses it pretty quickly. And the second, as Terry rightfully says, when we scored the goal that was disallowed, after that, that was it. Because their first warning shot, that was it. Whether it counted or not, it may as well have counted. Mm-hmm. Because I think they went, that was so easy. Yep. That was it. That was the fear then fucking brought back from the reality bites. Will Rodgers get the credit, or are we just looking at a terrible Rangers?
Well, I hope we're not going back to that, but they can't have it both ways because we're living in a day and age now where everything's recorded online, tweets, blogs, articles, videos. There's plenty out there from about 8-9 months ago when Clement first came in. I think Hugh Keevins might have been the journalist that said that Rodgers is up against real competition now. Because, of course, the previous managers before that, now he's up against real competition. I think when they won the League Cup, he was getting hyped up that, this is a real test now for them. And when they overtook us in the league as well, around about February, March time, again, I think it was all, Rangers are the favourites now, Celtic are falling apart. So they can't have it both ways now, where they can suddenly just go back on it. Because we can point to so many instances in the last year or whatever where they've said that this is a real challenge, this is a real test, this is the first proper manager Brendan Rodgers grew up against in his time at Celtic, both spells. So yeah, but they always move the goalposts, nothing new there. You're right, we can only beat what's put in front of us. And interestingly, you talk about the disallowed goal. What I found really interesting about that was it came from them pressing us really high. We were under a wee bit of pressure, and we very quickly, and it was quite amazing how we did it, how we just moved it like 2, 3, 4 passes out of defence while under a lot of pressure. One pass for McGregor right into Nicholas Kuhn. Unfortunately, it was flagged, it was given offside in the end, but it showed you right there the warning sign, how quickly we could break their press just with that. And only 4 or 5 minutes later, we did actually score a goal that counted. But yeah, they're doing everything. They thought they had the answers with we'll press them really high, but we showed them right then and there. We've got ways out of this. We'll still play. We'll take the ball. We'll play under pressure. We'll deal with it. showed it. And yeah, and after the first goal went in, it was just like, it was one-way traffic for the rest of the game. Terry's right to point out they had a couple of chances early on, but they were not freezing us at all. It was a routine game. It was very, very routine, very calm, and more of that, please. I'm more than happy for that to keep happening.
I know, of course. But I think really the bar, Terry, this year will be Europe, which I've been obviously championing the whole time since this channel started. I think that is where Celtic should be getting judged at. And I think today, it's not about Rangers being crap. We've just evolved again. We've moved on. And Rodgers got the bit between his teeth again, I think, with regards to how his methods want to be implemented in the team. They seem to be buying now what he's selling. It's all working. And see that opening, I do think there was different challenges posed. I think he just quickly, not just him, the whole team, got the answers smart and got them quickly. And as soon as I say, like, that disallowed goal, I went, oh, here we go. Right? It may as well have just counted because that was it. What I also noticed today, which was really striking, I know we usually go through the lineup surprises or anything like that, Terry, but that bench, we spoke about it in the group chat, I think, before me and the judge, and it was like, it's a statement in itself now, having a bench that looks like that. And Rodgers, once it did become, I don't mean procession, it was a procession once, it was, fuck it. But once it got to that stage, he wasn't shy and then showcasing what he's been adding to his toolkit, and quite rightfully so. But I think even before a ball's kicked, when you look at that bench, you start going, that's looking more and more like sort of a Celtic that you'd want to be, a Celtic squad you'd want to be looking at, What did you make of the fact, though, he didn't start any of them, kept the faith of the guys? I think that keeps their confidence up, shows that trust in them. It's not just, willy-nilly signings coming in and everything you've done just gets disregarded straight away. I think that's a good move. But notwithstanding that, also to a wee shot over the boat, your rivals, to go, look who we can bring to the affair straight away. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Myself, John and Conor talked about the lineup, and it pretty much was exactly as I had thought it would be. The one that was a toss-up was Kuhn and Forrest, and I thought Kuhn would get it just because of his goals that he's added this season. I didn't see any scenario where the back four was split up. Not for this game. Not when you've brought in people on a Friday, 10 o'clock on a Friday night. That's a completely different argument. That's out the window. That's all gone. We've now got the squad that's going to be available to us between now and January, and we've got 3 competitions to focus on. And today was the first, what we expected to be, big hurdle in the defence of the league championship. We're 5 points clear after 4 games. Now, John said yesterday that's nothing.
Joint top, mate. We're joint top.
Hey? Yeah, we're joint top. Joint top. As Conor pointed out, he's tipped Aberdeen for second place. Now, John and I disagreed very slightly, and he said that 5 points was nothing. I think 5 points after 4 games is huge. It doesn't, we don't get presented with any medals. We don't lift any trophies. We've seen last season how things can flip and change. But it just feels at this very, very early stage, it feels ominous for Rangers. You really struggle to see how that guy is going to be able to turn that around. And again, going back to his presser, and not to focus on the Rangers side of things, but in his end of match conference, he was talking about, he was asked about, did he think there was a significant gap? And he said, let's see in January. So he's already pushing it out to January before he's going to be judged. I just struggle.
Terry, on Sky said, I'm sure, if we'd scored the first goal, it's a different game.
He threw out some absolute nonsense. And then
my fucking granddad's wheel should be a bike. Nobody cares, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Then he got his violin out. Bhoycie, just come back to the point that you made. He got his violin out, and you see they bring on very expensive players. He was getting out there basically, I've got no money, they've got loads of money. And do you know what, mate? Our money's ours, and don't we know it? But Europe. The next 3 games, Bhoycie. Well, this international break is an absolute pain in the hole. By the way, it's just coming at a bad time when we're just cranking things up. And I've really enjoyed the first 5 games.
I felt the same about the League Cup as well, though, Terry. To be honest, see that being on a weekend, not a midweek. I kind of think that's broke up the league run a wee bit. It's a bit Scottish at this point, eh?
Slightly, but it's still Celtic playing, and it's still that little drug that I need every single weekend. I need that.
I was on the team's point of view, not yours.
I need that little drug of Celtic, and that's now we're going to do a 2-week break. But then the next 3 games after that, the first one's a league game, the second one's a Champions League game, and the third one's a League Cup game. So we've got a chance to again make a dent in all 3 of those competitions within the space of 8 days. So we've got to come back. Players travelling all over the world, got to come back, got to be sharp, got to be on it. Brendan Rodgers has got the absolute maximum out of this group from the off this season. Regardless of what we think of the window, what was done, what wasn't done, when it was done, he's got the maximum out of the bunch that he's got. And there were some phenomenal performances today. And, you know, sometimes players that maybe don't get all the credit. I thought Taylor was exceptional today. I thought Scales did not put a foot wrong. People are thinking a 5 million defender automatically means he's coming in for Scales. That guy's going to have to win that shirt. And same for the young lad from Barcelona. Brendan Rodgers is a big fan of Taylor's. I thought Taylor, as I say, was excellent today. I thought Bernardo was, his work rate was superb. He'd done a lot of the dirty stuff, a lot of the hard work.
The amount of balls he pinched as well, mate. He was on it today, I thought, as well. That's underestimated side to his game, him.
He should have sneaked a goal. He should have sneaked at least one. He'd won where he had a chance to shoot. Then he beat another man. Then he beat another man. You just think he put it in.
If he had the left foot, he would have scored. But I think he was just trying to get on his right foot.
Yeah. I was impressed with him. I thought McGregor was majestic, as expected. They tried to go a man marker on him. It doesn't make any difference. He's too good. He's too clever. He's still going to find the spaces. You could put 2 men on him. He's and he'll find space in a phone box. And that's kind of where we really took a stranglehold of it, is in that midfield 3. I thought Hatate was buzzing as well. A lot of things didn't come off for him. He missed an absolute sitter. His pass for Kyogo for the sitter that he missed was just amazing. And then on the wings, Maeda he gave you everything. He just gave you the full repertoire.
He does exactly what it says in the tin in this fixture.
Full repertoire, everything, brilliant, not so good, absolutely terrible, but that's just Maeda. And I thought Kuhn had a decent game. He was threatening as well. There was nobody you could turn around and say if every single player done their job and done, contributed to.
What does that say, Pam? Pam, what does that say when everyone's doing their job that well? And Terry's right, by the way. I didn't really have any negative vibes on anyone today either. What does that say? Is that a sense that this game is becoming that comfortable that? Of course, they all did okay. Like, because it's not the norm. Remember, but games are high pressure, sort of a lot on it, a lot riding on it. Points or prizes and all that, and there's none bigger than the derby. And we're now looking at this as going, everyone played well. I didn't have one bad performance. It's almost unusual that, and I think that slides into this time where I think this season, watching Celtic from pre-season to the start, I've said I feel he's really got a tune almost out of everyone that. He's ramped it up a bit with almost everyone that was existing. By the end of the window, he has brought in a few, right? Later than we'd want, who cares? They're there now. I do care, but not today, I don't, right? That's the point I'm making, right? See, when it comes down to the level Celtic have got themselves to this season and where the rivals are at, wherever their journey is, their journey, all that shite, right? They'll do this every 18 months because they keep changing manager. So they'll always be at this point where the new players need bedded in, but the manager doesn't get time. And then he's got to go and then they have to, rinse and repeat. But when I look at the teams, I generally think when I see that many players, Terry's right, not many. Did any have a 6 out of 10 today? Probably not. Right? Big Jogi, good man. But when I think about it, I go, is that actually the barometer of where our team's at yet? And now I'm actually beginning to go, these fixtures I used to sort of gauge Champions League coming up, that was a good test and we stepped up. I'm beginning to think that's nowhere near what we'll be playing in the 8 games in the Champions League this season. I think it's miles off, in fact.
Yeah, I mean, I share similar views with you. I think at the very beginning of the season and even pre-season, my gut was telling me they're coming together. They're starting to understand not just what they do, but what everybody else does. And with that understanding comes with this great unit you can watch. And to me, it was kind of like, And especially second season era, where everybody just kind of knew what they did and they all fit together like a nice jigsaw puzzle. They created a lovely picture and all that shite. And I kind of get that feeling now. I'll be honest, I was expecting a bit of a hiccup with Matt O'Reilly leaving, but I actually thought Paolo Bernardo, he didn't fill Matt O'Reilly's shoes, but the shoes he brought to the drawer brought something else that had actually, we can make use out of. So I think even though it is different,
I think his last 2 starts have been brilliant, Pam. I think he's done really, really well.
And especially where Matt O'Reilly's gone, this was going to be a big judge. This is going to be a judgment for me, to be honest, a judgment day. Not to rob poor Judge Mark's phrase, but it was going to be a judgment day for me. And I think he stepped up really well. And like I said, I'm proud of everybody, to be honest. I don't say stuff like that, but I'm proud of them. I think they did a great job. It was a great match to watch. The football was actually really nice to watch as well. It's not like some of last season where it was just kind of turgid and I fell back to sleep during some of the games. This was
I know what you mean.
What I want to watch. And it was so nice to see everybody do what they were doing, people linking up with each other. I just really enjoyed it. And I think this is the start of something good, something solidified, and hopefully something relatively unstoppable.
Well, Phil, I'm sure by Christmas I'll be giving it. We'll win a game 10-0 and we'll probably go the season invincible. That's just what I like.
That's Bus heritage,
a couple of tequilas, mate, and I'm fucking saying that shit. Do you know what I mean? But I think it's important to talk about Bernardo. Remember I was talking last night, Friday night, about the impact. I was like, if he were to be left out today, it'd be understandable from our point of view. No problem. But I thought for his point of view, he might be going, really? Like, it'd be a trick. I thought it was a confidence booster for him just to be in the lineup. He played with a man with confidence there. I thought he was the one that was pickpocketing most. The amount of times he just got his wee foot round, wins the ball, but the way Celtic react to it, they're so alive. They're just so alive with these situations now. Real cohesiveness. And there's a unity about them now. They've all got up to speed, whatever it is the manager's selling. That bit's enjoyable, but isn't it wonderful to think none of the new signings had to start today and we look that good?
Well, fantastic. And Bernardo was excellent today. I mean, it does remind me a wee bit, not certain style of play, but something around his presence on the park. When Joe Ledley first joined us, he was one of these midfielders that went about his job quietly. And a lot of people would kind of wonder, what does he do? But he actually is very, very effective. Sometimes when he doesn't draw attention to himself, that's when he's being most effective. And it's the same. I think Bernardo's in that category. He's a midfielder that goes in there, goes about his job, gets it done, doesn't have anything. I said a year ago when we first signed him on loan and in his first few games, how do I define Paolo Bernardo? What is his main characteristic? I still don't think he has got a main characteristic. He's just a great steady hand, and he showed today again that, you say the way he's winning balls, passing it around and whatnot. He just fitted in really well, comfortable on the ball. Nothing they did through him really fazed him. And again, we've now seen the midfield reinforcement that came in. Again, you'll probably thought, well, okay, now we've got competition. Competition is what you want in a team. I know there's a lot of people that we've seen, and things in the live chat, tweets out there and stuff like that, about, too many players, people being unhappy. I think the players relish it. I think they do. A winning environment, and this will just push them on even harder because they want to play. They want to make sure that they're in the team. I saw Luke McCown at the end of the game getting interviewed, and he was asked, what are you hoping to achieve, and what's the manager expecting of you? And he said, well, the manager told me just be myself and just play my own game. And I don't want to come here and just just to say I'm a Celtic player. I want to establish myself, and every player will have that mentality, and that's what you want in a team, a winning team like us, the unit that we are. So I think Bernardo will be relishing it. The Engels has arrived, and McCown's arrived, and we've still got guys like McGregor and Hatate, in the midfield. It's a healthy position that we're in right now in that section.
Spot on. When it comes to Maeda's goal, Terry, no one's surprised Maeda gets us off and running. This fixture, I think, outside Callum McGregor, I think he's the most definitive player in this fixture now, is Daizen Maeda. I think he's the one who gives them nightmares, and for whatever reason, he's the perfect storm for them. He just is. It works, and I was not surprised he scored. The second goal, though, the killer, as you call him, Kyogo, right? Killer Kyogo. Joe's so mad about that goal. No one else thinks to do that. Like a daisy cutter passing at the corner for that far out. It caught everyone by surprise. it's such a. That's not a striker's instinct. Like, he had space to drive into there, by the way, at that point. Get a bit closer, make an angle. Who thinks like that? I don't know. Not few and far between. Does that make him a killer? I'm not so sure. But what it does mean is this is another guy you're now beginning to become synonymous with this fixture is little Kyogo, because the amount of goals he's now scored against him. Remember, he went his first 4 or 5, maybe even 6 games, no goals.
Mm-hmm.
And then since then, it's like, see you later, mate. You know what I mean? But that finish, I didn't see that. It kind of caught me off guard. I know, obviously, from a Rangers point of view, they want to blame the goalkeeper for it, but I don't think anyone predicts that he does that. That even the way he's even shot, like, it's not a big, like, what do you call it, Phil? Thunder bastard.
Thunder bastard, yeah.
It's not even one of those. It's so unusual from the distance it is, and it's so early. It's caught everyone off guard. Is it a killer? I don't know, but it was amazing. I'm chuffed for him, mate.
Bhoycie, the whole Kyogo killer is a private joke, obviously between you and me, where I've got a bit excited after a game after the.
I'm sure we were on the pod like 300 folk at the time, mate.
Well, it wasn't that private, but it was after the goal that he scored in the New Year game last season, where he's just lashed it with his left foot, and then the one from the season before in the game at Ibrox where there was no Celtic supporters, and that's what I was expecting today. See, when he was winding up to hit it, I was expecting to see that same strike as the one at Ibrox, or the Hatate goal against Hearts, the one where the ball just swerves and beats Craig Gordon. That's what I'm thinking he's winding up to. And then he just rolls it in nonchalantly along the ground. And I think what he now is in this fixture, he is the same to Jack Butland as Maida is to Tavernier. He's given the guy nightmares. I just had a feeling he probably hasn't hit the heights this season, and that's his first goal. But I genuinely
I preferred his play this season, to be honest, Terry. This season, I preferred what he was doing last year. Yeah, definitely.
But in terms of goals, this is his first one of the season. But I genuinely expected him to get it today, and it's this fixture. I just expect him to score, and I expect him to do something that we're not expecting him to do, and that finish. I mean, that's 30 yards out, and he's just rolled it as if he's passing it 5 yards to a teammate. Just wind back to the first goal, just to give a little bit of credit. Alistair Johnson got to the byline again, and we talked about that last week, Bhoycie, where part of his game that we thought he could improve on was getting forward more. And last week he got forward and scored, and today he got to the byline, and he'd done it on a number of occasions. And I think that's something I want to see between now and the end of the season, is him continuing just to go, not just to get to the edge of the 18 and that's his job done, to pour on, get to the byline. Because see when you're cutting the ball back from the byline, you've got so much more opportunity of that ball ending up in the net.
Well, you talked about Hugo's numbers a minute ago because he hadn't scored yet. And it's like, I think you're right, though. If you want to look at the numbers, you go, Alistair Johnson doesn't have enough assists. Last year, like, we want more from him in that term. He's got the ability to do it. He's certainly got the engine. It's about timing those runs and making it all fit. But he certainly looks like he's another one. Looks better this season than he did last.
See the Rodgers record. Did you see the stat that the Sky guy gave out? His actual numbers in this fixture: one defeat in 19.
19.
Is it 19 now? Is it
15 wins, isn't it?
One defeat in 19. That's unreal.
And like I was saying to Phil, I was like that. And TNT Sports went, Rangers are dreading Spurs coming to town. They posted Postecoglou's record. It was like fucking 6 wins, 3 draws, 3 defeats.
Knowing them in Europe, they'll probably beat Spurs.
He'll get on the pod this anyway. Rangers will win 5-1. Postecoglou leaves with 3 points. He'll get the Man U job the next day. Honestly, unbelievable. Anyway, Kyogo does that goal. And by then at 2-0, it is cruise control, Pam. And I don't even know at any point you ever felt it. They could come back into this. Like, what you saying, Terry?
I've just had an interloper call in.
Hey, Steve-O, good to see you, son. No, wrong one. No worries. Anyway, Pam. Anyway, Pam. But when it was 2-0, it did feel at this point in time we either go for the juggler. I remember when we beat them, was it 5-0 or 5-1 to secure the title? Remember a lot of folk were frustrated that we didn't go that day for like 8, 9, 10. See, today, I think you're realising this is not what Rodgers is about. He wants the points secured. Bank them. Don't do anything silly. What we did then get, though, was by the time we've scored the third, right, we've got an opportunity for not this bench just looking good, to actually showcase it, utilise it. And I thought that was really important as well. I mean, folk forget, see what Engels, I think folk think they're robots when they sign at £11 million. Automatically got to be brilliant. 20 years old. 20. He's probably younger than you. Do you know what I mean? Like, think about that as your debut walking out at Celtic Park against Rangers. As your debut, regardless of your money, regardless of your price tag, you're a human being at 20 years old. I thought, fucking, imagine the luxury of being able to go, aye, but we can afford to bring you into this. That's what I liked. We could afford to go, look, McCowan, on you go. Do you know what I mean? It's nice to be able to do this because we were so comfortable, but also it goes, this is the deep end domestically. This is as deep as it gets. So when you start, this is as bad as it gets. Like, you'll kick on for you. That must be a nice feeling for a manager to be able to afford that luxury doing that, eh? What are you pushing yourself at, Terry?
What? No, my mates called in with a bottle of vodka for me, and I'm just thanking them for bringing it around.
What a nice guy.
You have an optic on it. Get an optic on it.
It's that blue label 50% stuff.
Oh, Jesus.
You need to be careful with that.
Oh, you'll be fine, Terry.
You say that now. Famous last words.
Pam, see the last day I was on that I didn't even remember being on, that Hibs game. Yeah, listen, my brother's a bit of a wind-up merchant, and he rang me the next day, and I was in the horrors. Like, I didn't really come round till about Friday, but he rang me on the Monday, and he said, hope you're proud of yourself. And I said, what? He said, you just embarrassed the entire family yesterday. And I said, what? He says, you were on the Bhoycie Bus. And I'm going, was I? And then he says, see that lovely wee girl that's out in America? He says, you need to ring her. And I said, why? He said, you gave her so much abuse. You called her all these names. You slagged her off. And I go, oh my God. And he let this joke go on. And I was like, for about 3 hours, I was just sitting going, right, shit, how am I going to address this? Do a ringer, do a messenger? And then he rang me back about 3 hours later and said he was only messing about.
Terry, you never have to worry about that, because if you ever give me shite, I'll give it straight back. So you're all right.
I knew there was something up. It was the best you'd ever been. I thought you were brilliant that night. I was fucking... Can't even remember it, Phil.
I just can't bring myself to watch it back. All I know was it was a curly-whirly involved.
No, it was absolutely legendary. I loved it. It's grand. Your brother's just winding you up. Don't worry about it.
Pam, where were we?
I'm
so
sorry.
New signings coming off the bench. Did Celtic play today?
I can't remember. I'm too sleepy.
New signings coming off the bench. What a nice luxury it must be for Brendan to be able to bring them on in a dub. All that.
Yeah, that's just a utopic situation, isn't it? I mean, like, it's just such. To me, it's like the complete opposite of where we were kind of this time last year, where it was fucking dire and all that. You know, it's definitely very different, and it really just hits home how much, you know, having faith in. Having faith and patience in Brendan really pays off. Because look, this is like a complete 180. I can't even look at Terry for the next few minutes. I'm gonna burst out laughing. It just hits home. You know, it's, you know, he really has done great work over the past year, and I think he was the best signing of 2023. You know, he really is the elite manager that, you know, his CV portrays him to be. And, you know, it really shows today where, you know, this is probably one of the most challenging games domestically. Maybe, I don't want to underestimate Aberdeen either, but this is certainly one of the most challenging ones. And the fact that he was able to say to some people, look, let's give a wee tester, you know, just see how it goes, see how you know, get like your initial feel for it, get comfortable now. This is like the onboarding process. You know, it's absolutely crazy to think that. And, you know, we still came out 3-0 and, you know, relatively comfy game. Like, You know, I'm saying it's comfy, and I'm like, I'm panicky Pam. You know,
Yeah, no, I get you. No, I get you. Phil,
it's
I
just
mean,
completely utopic at times.
I think for the fact that their managers had to reference the money spent on the subs that could come on, the fact he's referencing it tells you he got the impact that Rodgers was looking for, right? Which I think is true. He's going, look at the tools, by the way, that I didn't have to use today, that I could have used. Do you know what I mean? And clearly it has had that message because he references it. It's not Brendan talking about that. It's their manager referencing it. That's the point of putting these guys all on. You know, we're looking at a guy for Dundee for one spectrum to a guy for the Bundesliga at 11 million. But we've got this array of talent that you've not seen yet.
How
And we can
crazy is
afford
that?
to. Aye. And by the way, it shouldn't be crazy. It shouldn't be crazy. This should be the norm, by the way. We're in a position we can do this summer by summer, window by window. That's my take anyway. But it definitely had the desired effect, didn't it, Phil? When their manager, after the game, in amongst all his riddles, brings that into the fray and starts to, you can see the money by the subs. You're, uh-oh. And Brendan's sitting there probably by this point with a cigar in his mouth going, fucking too easy. Too easy. I knew he'd bite. I didn't expect him to bite now. I just thought he'd bite, like, mentally, not actually live on fucking air. But there you go. But it was a display of the gulf Celtic now have with the rest, innit?
Yeah, it seems like Philip Clement's descending more and more into madness after every single result against us, or lack of result against us. Because at first when he came in a year ago, my impression of him was, it's a bit like Van Bronckhorst. I just felt like if he's here to do his job, I felt like there's no real, I don't seem to be like Beale, just like really getting under our skin, just going on and on. But every game, every defeat, every time they don't get a result against us, he just seems to come out with more and more stuff. You're talking about referencing the substitutes. Apparently on the Clip Super Scoreboard posted, he was talking about, again, peddling the whole, they had 14 shots, we had 13, 4 on target each, and all that. And it's like, it's all this shite that they come out with, so that every time this fixture rolls around, they can go, oh, there's not a lot between the teams. Well, there is. Look at the scoreline and look at the overall performance today. He can go and voice nonsense about completed passes, completed shots, and all that all he wants. Bottom line is, most Rangers fans can see through what he's saying now. And even there, like they can see the reality. I mean, today apparently they're turning up outside Ibrox and heckling them as they arrive back. So he can say all this stuff all he wants. And also, see when it comes to the substitute stuff, at the end of the day, they've signed we signed Luke McCown, who played for Dundee, right? And they signed Conor Barron, who they were telling us was fantastic. And Aberdeen, you'd say, are probably a better team than Dundee. They signed on deadline night. They signed a boy that played at Euro 2024 there for Albania, scored the quickest goal of the tournament. And an Albania side that looked quite exciting. So they don't have it all that bad. Okay, fair enough. Celtic signed 11 million to earn Engels. But Rangers are still spending money. They're finding ways to bring players in. So I'm sorry, cry me a river all you want, Phil, come on. But I'm not feeling any sympathy for you at all, my man.
But I mean, listen, it's their problems at the end of the day. I mean, from our point of view, I just know the Jedi mind tricks that our man Brendan knows to play. And I think today everything's strategically done. And he's went, just when you thought, you were getting beaten off, here's a wee reminder of what we've actually done at the end of this window. Do you know what? I think there's a bit of that. Terry, it's interesting you talk about the break being a pain in the arse. What also is annoying about the break is we come back from it, domestic action, then the Champions League rolls right round the corner. Yeah. And I know Engels got called up, and I'm all chuffed for him in that. And I'm like, of all the times to not be called up, for your first ever call up to the Belgian squad, someone like him I would have loved just to have had a good 3-week run at Lennoxtown. Do you know what I mean? Time off when it's needed, but just in situ, where we want him. Instead, this sort of stop-start. But again, you look at the window, if you want to be nitpicky, if it's not being nitpicky, it's telling the truth. This international window's not just came about out of nowhere. It was always there as well. So folk want to tell you, hey, happy now, Moany bastards, entitled bastards, but the window closes on a certain day every summer, every winter as well, every January. And the international breaks come around, Terry, at the same time as well. So you've got to, if you're a manager and you want to integrate new players into your squad, 4 of which we're trying to do, from the last week of a window, and then within that shutting, within 5-6 days of that, international break comes, And that then makes it already a stop-start thing. And before you know it's Champions League. And then I always go back to the point I've made with you loads of times. Are we treating the world's elite club competition with the respect it deserves? However, I'm still glad these guys are in. Do you know what I mean? And I did enjoy seeing the subs bench. But there is a bigger picture. I always want to keep folk aware of that as well. Do you know what I mean?
Boys, I said to Conor and John yesterday, this board are obsessed with making money, and the Champions League is the biggest cash cow going. And automatic group stage entry for winning the league is so important, and there's so much. It's just so lucrative, and they don't seem to be able to see that if you prepare to get into that group stage, especially now in its new format, every single year, we don't have to do an awful lot to improve our coefficient. We've talked about the last 2 draws being favourable.
But we've just blown it for next year already.
Hey?
We can't get in now next year automatically. We've got to
No,
do
we can't. We can't get. That's the point I'm making.
do you know what I mean? It's shocking.
We won't be able to get automatically next year. So already we're jeopardising the potential. This new format, potentially the Champions League's 50 million, and we don't have to do an awful lot, assuming we win the league. Assuming, and that's still an assumption. That's not a given. But if we had done a little bit more in each of the last few seasons, the draws that we were presented with in Europe gave us an opportunity to advance, but we didn't give the manager the tools to do that. I still don't think we've given the manager the tools to do the job in Europe. I think the manager's comments around taking part, I think that's where our board are at, and I think that's so short-sighted of a board, as I say, that are obsessed with making money, because this is 50 million a season just sitting. It's a sitting duck. It's a fucking sitting duck, and all you have to do is turn your manager up. And I want to park this window. I don't want to go on about it, but I think it's important to we've broke our transfer record twice. We didn't break it for 20 years. We should be breaking it every single summer. That's not. I'm not high-fiving the board for breaking the transfer record twice. We didn't break it, as I say, from Chris Sutton and John Hartson right through.
Hudson, Edward in 2019.
Yeah. But
no, you're right, by the way.
But we haven't tooled the manager up for what I am going to go on record as saying is it's a strong Europa League group. This is a strong Europa League group. This isn't a Champions League group. This is a strong Europa League. Because we have got the draw of all draws. I handpicked 5 of them when I was looking for my perfect draw of what I felt was the easiest games. I picked 5 of those. And we have got a tremendous opportunity. And the only regret that I see is that we didn't tool up. And to bring it round to an end, we broke our transfer record twice. We spent 30 million. We still have a net gain of 10 million. And we had 10 million from Abada that came in between the 2 windows. So see that 20. See if that 20 had been spent on another 2 or another 3 bona fide first team starter upgrades, I think that would have been tooling the manager up for the Champions League, and I'd have been happy with that. We haven't done it.
Yeah.
But we've still got an opportunity, and we've started the season really, really well. 3 different competitions in 1 week once we come back. See this international break, as you say, the international break was always happening. What is the problem? So if we say the problem is we've got these new players in, they've been in for 2 days, they're now going away for internationals, we're not back for 2 weeks, and then we're getting into the Champions League. That's the problem. What's the root cause of that being a problem? The root cause is we didn't bring players in early enough.
Yep. The transfer windows went nowhere. You're right. I'm glad the transfer window closing, and the international breakup.
That was already there.
Anywhere. They're set.
That was there a year ago.
Yeah,
those dates were set a year ago. We fucked about with Ada, Bernardo. I'm really pleased with the Mackay signing. I
like them as a team. Like, see the football stuff. This is the biggest thing is today's probably a day to look at the football side. It looks, Pam, to me like we've got more than enough to deal with domestic and have more domestic bliss. We live in an era right now where domestic bliss is literally the status quo. It's what we do. You know, last year it was 2 out of 3 trophies, and mid-season Brendan was nearly getting sacked. ousted by your own fans. We went to it like that's how in deep we are with just domestic bliss. I think today proves that whatever it is Terry's talking about striving for, and in my opinion, what I've always been trying to talk about, I think today proves that that's not enough. And do you know what's good about this Champions League campaign this time? I think we've got, Phil, correct me if I'm wrong, have we got 2 games after Christmas anyway?
January 22nd and January 29th.
So no matter what, right? Whereas I think their plan, normally, I think someone just died. I don't know what happened there. Everything all right there, Terry? I thought you were going to come out with some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles there, mate. Sounds like you've been doing...
Just getting some ice.
Aye? Fair enough.
What, from the fucking North
machine,
Pole?
mate. Honestly, that was... Everyone's like... Honestly, that was loud as fuck. Anyway, right. So, 2 games after, though, Christmas, right, means rather than Celtic being able to go with January, don't worry, guys. You know, we're out of Europe, but let's just focus on being better than the rest because your eyes are now off that. All we've got to focus on is domestic stuff. This time around, it's focusing on, well, we've still got 2 European games. And I'd like to think, with the draw that's been made, we'll still be in with a shout, Pam, the last 2 games to go. So, therefore, they can't now just keep sleeping behind the wheel when these windows come around. They need to be a wee bit proactive and busy. They can't keep deflating and going, but remember Rangers are kind of like hovering about, isn't it amazing we're better than them? There's a far bigger picture going on. And with these 2 games being after Christmas, that keeps minds focused on where the bigger challenges are, I think. Because today, that ain't the challenge that we should be judging ourselves on.
100% agree. There is a real danger in that culture of complacency where it's, oh, we're better than Rangers, so let's just chill. We cannot chill. Chilling is what cost us the 10 in a row, you know, and like also who's happy with just staying at where they are? Like, why do you not have this drive?
We've not won a knockout game in Europe in 21 years.
Sorry?
It'll be 21 years by this season, like 21 seasons, I think it is, since we won a knockout game in Europe.
God, it's nearly as long as I've been alive. You know, that's actually crazy to think, though. Like, what? Like, for me, it's crazy to think that there is just something within the board's mentality. It's like, oh, we don't have to progress on this stage for some reason. Why not? Why not? Why not try and go for it? You know, why not try and go for it? And, you know, as yourself and Terry were saying earlier, it is the biggest cash cow we can have access to be honest. Like the easiest, quickest cash cow we can have access to. You know, it's a culture of complacency and that mindset of, oh, we're going to be grand if we just keep performing domestically. Whereas, no, you know, there is another level we can go up to and that we deserve to go up to. You know, we are a big club. We have our stuff pretty much worldwide. Why aren't we not going for this big title? You know, I don't understand it. And Nick, when you said 21 seasons,
2 decades basically of in my opinion, unacceptable European performance.
That is not a stat for a big club like Celtic. It's just
totally
not.
agree.
So,
especially when you boast the good bits, the domestic stuff, and you're like, well, usually the next step is when you get that domestic glory, that then leads to more European success because you're getting that gateway because of all the league titles. But anyway,
it's this messed up culture of complacency that costs us 10 in a row too.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're right about that as well. 10 in a row. I don't even know what to make of that nonsense. I really don't. But Phil, do you think we've seen a shift, whether it's panic driven or not? Pressure driven, who knows? Has there been a shift towards the end of this window where I'm not saying it's all by design because I agree with Terry. You don't get what you were saying yesterday, Terry. You went, all 3 of those signings could be made early in the window. Literally no reason why they couldn't have been. And when you go through them, you go, that Luke McCowan, we couldn't have got till 3 minutes before fucking 11 p.m. You're having a fucking laugh, right? You look at even Engels. 3 weeks like is only dependent on Matt O'Reilly leaving we get Engels because I like strengthening the team. I like that being the first foremost thought, and then it being sad if O'Reilly leaves. But we'd already tooled up it.
O'Reilly was always gone.
But that's I get you. But the point I'm trying to make is, did it depend on him going, like making sure that finance was secured just to to then pay that money for Engels, which I hope isn't the case either. But either way, do you think there's been a shift, whether it's been pushed or not, Phil, regarding, I think, the money, the wages that Engels is apparently going to get paid? Obviously, no, it's a transfer fee record. We suspected there might be a transfer fee record. Is it the case Celtic, by hook or by crook, are maybe just been almost forced into a situation where they've kind of got to change their strategy a bit? Is there a strategy? What do you make it of?
Aye, it's it's probably been. There's no way they've planned it like this. From we'll wait to the last week of the window and then we'll just go crazy. We could have got some of these players in and got them in cheaper, probably. With us being in the position we were in the last week, it drives prices up as well. But of course, we are quite happy to shout from the rooftops. We are rich. A big neon sign like the one behind you there, above Celtic Park. Russell's saying we are rich. We have lots of money. So it's like when we're going to these clubs, we can't, obviously, we can't afford them. We definitely we could have got in and got these players earlier in the window, and said they're rushing around. We got it done by hook or by crook. That's it. It needs to change though going forward. We can't go into next summer, especially with a Champions League qualifier on the agenda next summer. Then we definitely cannot be waiting around. But yeah, it does baffle me that if they were waiting for the Matt O'Reilly money, again, when we're quite happy to advertise how much cash we've got, it would be a bit of a strange strategy. Big clubs, we see around Europe, if they've got a big player that's going to be leaving, they usually have the replacement in the door, or at least halfway in the door, before they are gone to prepare for it. Look at like Adam Eder, for instance. He still looks a bit off it right now, rusty. We'll say he can't even trap a bag of cement right now. He will come good. We know what he's got in his locker, but you see that he's suffering from a poor pre-season. We could have got him in earlier. He could have been, last week against St Mirren, so he was looking rusty today when he came on. Didn't really have much of an impact at all. And this is the thing. We want to have everybody up in a run. Now, of course, we've got an international break coming up, so you'd like to think the players that don't go away, they'll be hitting it in the training ground, and when we come back, we play Hearts, I want to say, is the next domestic game at Celtic Park. In 2 weeks' time, that these players that are that little bit rusty will be fully up to speed. Because there's massive advantages to getting them in and having that full pre-season. Say this time last year when Ange left and Brendan came in, even though the squad was a treble winning squad, there was always going to be a transition period of one manager to another. And you could see it took a while for things to start ticking over last season. It got to about springtime before we started to see the best of the team. But look at the way we went through pre-season. A team with full pre-season under their belt, under this manager. And it's like, so you need to get the players in early for them. I mean, the boys could have benefited being that an American tour. And again, you've got to think next year, next summer, Champions League qualifier on the agenda. You've got to get these players in earlier and quicker this time. We've got the cash. There's no excuse.
Terry, it's always reactive, not proactive in that essence, because obviously we've cost ourselves the coefficient points already. Like this, and do you know what annoys me? It's actually a positive thing for everyone calls us negative and that shite, right? Not that I give two fucks. I just tell the truth, right? But the honest, like when you look at Celtic today, we look like we're a side on a trajectory, better equipped to start being able to deal with Champions League football. This to me looks like a team that could pick up points this year, regardless of what the draw was. I still would have thought Rodgers is getting somewhere with this group, let alone the signings coming in. If we had automatic qualification again next year, which we should ensure, when we have 3 years in a row, there's no excuse for Celtic not to have ensured that continues, unless they're not living up to their side of the bargain, right? Which they've clearly not. But it's frustrating that aspect, because I do think if this progress is to keep going, it's going to come down to this season. I think we'll do fine. I think we'll get points to Champions League. It'll capture imaginations again.
Do you think we'll get out of it? Do you think we'll?
I think we'll get 10 games. I'm going to say we'll get the 10 games. I think we'll go in the top 24. Playoff stuff, who knows? It depends who you draw. But I think we'll get 10 games, which I think's fair. But getting that appetite for it, Terry, then next summer going, got Drew against fucking whoever it may be. And that, right? And that is going, why have we left it to this? Where we could have so easily, even if we finished bottom of the group each year, we could have got more than 2 points. That coefficient could have still been way higher than what it was. That's the honest reality, right? Folk don't like it. I don't give a fuck. It's the honest truth. It's not being negative. What I'm actually trying to say is I see now where we're going. Yeah. And it's so frustrating that this evolution of the team could be left to chance next summer, big time, because of what we've not done prior to this version of the team, this era that Rodgers is getting us into. It's actually the bad work before. Do you know what I mean? Like, that is frustrating for me because you've got to admit it, Terry. This season, you are seeing, generally, I know folk talk about it, it's all rhetoric a lot of the time, but you are seeing what someone with a year under their belt, where the team's going, now, this is now like my method's like happening. Look at the style we've got. There's an identity to the team. Everyone's on message. You can see the improvements we're making. And I can't believe Celtic potentially next summer, of course, does that continued momentum to perhaps stop because of previous and unnecessary fuck ups, you know.
Well, it's current as well because we haven't done enough in this window. We have not done. And I genuinely think there will be some regret throughout the club when they look at that draw and they think, do you know what? If we just had 2 more or 3 more, you know, we would definitely be getting through this. And I expect us to get through this group. And by getting through the group, I look at it as a group of 8, and you've got to get into the next round. And do you know what? You might even argue there's a benefit to not even being in the top 8 because that's too far away. But if you're in the next layer, you've another 2 games and you've more money. You've more money from those games. Do you know what I mean? So 10 games, I think 10 games is a good outcome. If we get into the next phase, I think that's success for this season. Next season brings a whole set of new problems. You're probably going to have a 50-50 game to get into it next season. And that's a position that we're in because of how we've ill-prepared.
A legacy problem, isn't it? Yeah. That's a legacy problem.
It's a legacy problem from people who are still at the club and were there.
Yeah, so I get that.
Legacy problems are usually, I've inherited this from someone else.
No, Rodgers, I'm talking about.
We've inherited this
I'm talking about Rodgers, mate.
The people
Rodgers
who are there
is a legacy problem. As far as I'm concerned, it is a legacy because Rodgers is the difference maker. He is the change. And it's what's happened before him that's the problem. All those plaudits have counted for fuck all. Apart from Postecoglou getting triple the salary at Spurs.
Let's focus on this group. I think 11. I think we can get 11. I think we can plot our way and get 11.
Oh, yeah.
So that gets us, well, do you know what? We're guaranteed Champions League football. We're guaranteed European football after Christmas. That's one thing we can say this year anyway. But what we need to do is evolve and see the fact, see Engels. There's probably a level of expectation on this guy because of the amount of money we've spent on him, and we seen there was nothing today. It was kind of just an ordinary.
Shy, honestly, it's terrible. We never have paid the money.
He came in and you're kind of thinking we've spent 11 million. This is the most we've ever spent a player. You're just expecting him to get the ball, take it around everybody, and stick it in the top corner. And he might not be that type of player at all. But 11 million, 9 million, that's the going rate. That's the going rate.
It's not a big deal, mate.
Just for a decent footballer. Do you know what I mean?
But they're clever. What they do now is the going rate for a footballer. We're now conditioned to think that must be this, like, Pele's joining you because it's 11 million.
Exactly.
We're expecting, like, madness. But this is what the club have done. They've conditioned you now go, an 11 million player. We expect them to be, like, the best football in the world, do everything. And really, like, kind of the going rate is the going rate. That's a great way to describe it. In fact,
this guy might just be a nice, neat and tidy midfielder who recycles the ball and keeps possession. That might be his game. And if it's 11 million to get someone who's really good at that, it's the going rate.
Well, as Peter Lawwell said, what was he said about the wages, about the directors? You know, he said it was a fair. No, was it about a year ago? He said that it was a fair rate. So that going by the going rate, I'm sure he said.
The going rate for the people.
The board,
the top performers in those positions.
Their wages going up, their monetary value going up all the time. I think 11 million is the going rate for a first team player. Easy days. And don't expect him just to, especially if it rains. Because these players didn't like coming to Scotland if it's fucking raining.
Just for me to close out on the Champions League part. See, thinking about, I don't know how we ended up in pot 3, by the way, but we ended up in pot 3.
I think it's thanks to Rangers.
But look at other leagues. So look at look at leagues that are on a par with us, the likes and teams. So Shakhtar, Bruges, those guys are in pot 2. Why are they in pot 2? Because they get into the group stages every single year.
And they invest when they get there. Aye.
Every single year. They do enough. And teams like Shakhtar and Bruges have been buying players at 11 million for the last 10 years.
Aye, at least.
Aye, at least.
But
yes.
Shakhtar's case, I know, but you're right. Because Shakhtar sell a player for 30 and start going, right, the 5 million guy we sold for 30 will replace with a 10 million player, and so on, so on. Like, Celtic have just went, we'll just keep going back to 2 million and hope like one of them works. And then we get all our money back for the 10 that are shite. It's a stupid logic, but it's not. Maybe we're looking at right now a change in direction, Pam. And I think the one thing we can all admit is if Rodgers can't convince a board that maybe don't already like him, now I've got a feeling they might not have wanted him. He wouldn't have been their choice, but I think he was definitely Dermot's. His football will do the talking. And he kills them in the football. Remember as well, Rodgers comes in, not even one coach he brought with him. Yes, he's worked with Kennedy before. That wasn't his assistant first time. It was Chris Davies, who's now Birmingham manager. Right? That was his. This is not his usual assistant or nothing. Came on his own. And now he kills them with football. And that corners them a bit. Because also, what we've seen with Matt O'Reilly was a guy on the outside looking in a bit under Angie's last season to becoming Rodgers' main man last year. 19 goals, 18 assists. Crazy numbers, right? 30 million profit. But now we're talking. The board, now you've got my attention. And suddenly it's now, you remember me now. And I think Rodgers is killing them with what he can do on the park. He gives them nowhere to go. They get very little rope, and the team, like he did with Ibrox this time last year with Lagabielka, was it Welsh? That was his partner.
Scales,
sorry. Scales and Lagabielka at Ibrox. And then you look this year and you're going, not one of the new signings ready to come into my starting 11. I know you're getting all the kudos on Twitter, mate, but because we've left it this late, none of them can actually play in the first derby of the year. Kind of important fixture. I'd like the big signings I've made to be available for this. He can't do that. However, he's killing them with the football.
100%. He's hitting them where it hurts, but using the appropriate means to do so, which I think even adds more hurt. It's amazing. And then he's also sprinkling off with like these little comments during the press conference. This is not the Brendan Light it was when he first came. When he first came here. This time last year, you could almost say he was a little bit timid, almost. Brendan Light, all that. No, he is here. He is making his mark. He's doing it in the best way possible. You can really see that's one of the nature of the signings. It's not optimal. It's not what we need to be, the level of the club that we want to be in Europe, but we're getting there. We're going in the right direction. And he's doing it through his own talent. He is an elite manager. He is getting the best out of players. As you said with Matt O'Reilly, he was completely marginalized by Ange in favor of Aaron Moy. And now look what's happened. He's a superstar that's off to Brighton for what record fee?
Record sale. Yep.
He's doing what he can do. And, he's had an uphill battle from many different fronts. And I think that really stings, but he's going to keep going. And, it's starting to get, the incline's starting to get a little bit less and less and less now as he gets more autonomy over the signing. So I think he's just going to keep going on up from here. It's not necessarily it's not going to be easy because, we have this glass ceiling when it comes to Europe. It's like, oh, we don't really have to try. So whether he can get through that glass ceiling, whether he can get a strong enough hammer to smash through it, that's the question.
He wants it though, doesn't he? You get the vibe of Rodgers. That's what he wants. He does. He's got the ambition we all share. I hope anyway. Yes.
Well, and also that's probably one of the positive things about somebody who has a big ego like that. They want to achieve, and I think when you can frame that ego in the right way, it's a great motivator, and you can pretty much do whatever you want to accomplish when you channel that mindset in the correct way. And I think he's getting there. I think he's there.
Yeah, spot on. Teresa Lyle, great to have you on the bus as always. She's spot on. You don't always have to like your colleagues; you just have to work together. Hey, Terry. Hey, Phil, Pam. all years. We just need to work together. It's great fun doing these P.M.Ps. I love it. Anyway, that's been over now. It's Sunday night. Let everyone get to bed. Hope everyone's had the best day, because get used to it. This will be, I think, what the P.M.P looks like after Derby Day. I think it is getting cozier, comfier, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I wish there was just a bit more of this, Phil.
Well, before we go, can we give one special shout out to
can,
one transfer which went
birthday card
unnoticed?
pish for Phil, Terry. What do you make of this one, P.M.P? Birthday card pish for Phil. Fucking
No. One thing that's went under the radar, a very, very important transfer or non-transfer. A big shout out to James Tavernier, who did not leave Rangers, because that is one of the most important deals of the summer, because I'm glad he's still around. He resonates the loser mentality through them, and it's good to see him fall asleep at the back post again. We love a goal at the back post against him.
That aura of disappointment.
I feel as sorry for him as Terry does for John Beaton. Right, we'll see you all later. It's been a brilliant day. Thanks so much to everyone. There's been over 2 hours. Shite out, see that.